right. It is just past 7 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and call the regular session of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to order. This is our first electronic meeting for the full Board of Mayor and Aldermen, so it's kind of a historic event. What I'd like to do is ask everyone to go ahead and mute your screen. And the way that I want to handle this is by Robert's Rules of Order, which basically you need to ask to be recognized. I'll recognize as best I can tell that someone is trying to be recognized. Once I recognize you, then speak. If you want to be recognized, you'll have to unmute in order to do that. So we'll try to do that. That way we're not all talking over each other and we can have a productive meeting, still have discussion, but not all talk at the same time. When you have a lot of people, we've done some of these meetings already. You just had the committee meeting, which I think went really well. We've had a Tourism Development Board meeting, which is a smaller group of people, went really well. And then we've had a Civic Center ad hoc committee meeting, which again is a smaller group of people. With a larger group like this, I want to try to make sure that we keep it conducted civilly and by Robert's Rules of Order. So if we can go ahead and start with the first item on the agenda, which is roll call. And for this, you'll have to unmute your screen so that we can go through the roll call. Ms. Durham, are you there? Shirley, are you available?
She is.
Hear me?
Now we can hear you.
Now.
Okay.
So Shirley, if you'll go through roll call and call each person's name, and they'll have to respond so that we can get that down.
Okay. Mrs. Osbrook?
Present.
Mr. Brock?
Present.
Mr. Chastain?
Present.
Mr. Harvey?
Present.
Mrs. Kirby? Present. Mr. Neal? Mr. Neal?
He is here. Let me get to him and make sure that I've unmuted his microphone. He was having some issues. Looks like he may have jumped off.
Do I count him present or absent?
Well,
He was there earlier.
we'll, if he gets back on, you can count him as present, but just wait until he gets back on, I suppose.
Okay.
Okay.
Mayor Newman?
Present. Okay, next item on the agenda is consideration of minutes. Should have had a chance to look through the minutes from March 10th, 2020 regular session. I can have a motion to approve, dispense with the reading.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Chastain.
Second.
Second by Mr. Brock. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. We'll have to do a roll call vote for everything. So do a roll call vote to approve the minutes from March 10th.
Mrs. Osbrook?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Aye.
Mr. Chastain?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mrs. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Neal, get back on. Mayor Newman?
Yes. Passes. Next is the minutes from the special called meeting on March 18th, 2020. We have a motion to approve and dispense with the reading.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Chastain.
Second.
Second by Mr. Brock. Any discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote.
Mrs. Osbrook,
Yes.
Mr. Brock,
Aye.
Mr. Chastain,
Yes.
Mr. Harvey,
Yes.
Mrs. Kirby,
Yes.
Mayor Newman.
Yes. Passes. Thank you. Next item is recognition of visitors. Not really sure how we can conduct this item on the agenda. So I think we can move past that unless we do have any visitors on here that wish to make a statement to the board. Hearing none, we'll move on to communications. We have a, hold on, let me get this. We have a letter from Cassell Galligan Davis, Executive Director of Children's Advocacy Center for the 31st Judicial District, requesting permission to hold the first, you'll have to scroll back. Keep on going. There you go. Permission to hold the first pinwheels for prevention ceremony on Friday, April 17th on the grassy lot downtown. They're requesting the need of the grassy lot from April 18th to April 25th to showcase the pinwheels and the Evening Exchange Club's Field of Flags display. We have a motion to approve the request. This isn't an event where people gather necessarily. It looks more like they're putting things on the grassy lot. And then it's on April 18th, and then April 25th, they'll be taking those things up.
So moved.
Is that a motion by Mr. Brock
Second.
and second by Mr. Chastain? All in favor, roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Osbrook,
Yes.
Mr. Brock,
Aye.
Mr. Chastain,
Yes.
Mr. Chastain, Mr. Harvey,
Yes.
Mrs. Kirby,
Yes.
Mayor Newman.
Yes, passes. Thank you. Ms. Durham, did we have any other communications?
No, sir, that was all.
Okay, thank you. Item 5 is petitions. We have no petitions. Item 6 is unfinished business. We have none. Item 7 is new business. I'd like to recognize Mr. Brock at this time for an additional item under new business. Go ahead, Mr. Brock.
Okay, we had a little get-together yesterday doing some ideas about the budget, and came up with some ideas about a framework for our new budget. It's obviously going to be tight. The good news is that up until now, sales tax has been up, property taxes have been up. Most of the sin taxes are up, beer and liquor tax up, and our general expenses have been down about 20%. The other good thing is that we're going to get $332,000 from the state on a one-time deal. The bad news, as everybody knows, is the unknown. And under that is going to be the sales tax for the next 4 to 6 months. Problems with property taxes in 2021, and listening to a presentation by TML, they had some experts on there, and they're concerned about people are going to be too busy making up the money they've lost, paying their credit card bills and buying food than they are to do property tax. So that may be a problem too. The other thing is that medical guys that were on the presentation were talking about a possible rebound of the virus in the fall of this year. So we've got a lot of unknowns. We set up some parameters that we wanted to try to start off with, and then we can start plugging things in, taking things out. We're going to have that here fairly soon. If it hadn't been for the virus, we frankly would have been in pretty darn good shape. Up until now, we are ahead, like I said, on revenues, and we're way behind on expenses. Of course, we've still got the unknown of the revenue ahead and the expenses ahead. But if you annualized the revenue and annualized the expenses out into the future without the virus being into effect, it would have been a good year. We would have probably broke even rather than being down about $600,000. So anyway, that's what there is. I'll take any questions if you got, but you might want to wait until you see the bones of the budget that we're trying to do, and it will be very bare bones, and we're just going to make some assumptions and start off from the get-go.
Okay. When, Nolan, when can we expect to have some preliminary budgets from department heads?
We have those right now. I can send them to you tonight. Just waiting to get some more information together before I do that.
Okay. Well, get your information together first. Did y'all discuss how you wanted to handle the budgeting process this year?
Not really. We really wanted to just get a model up so that we could plug and play, if you will, things that came up, things that we wanted to put in, take out, but whether we do it online or we sit down in a big room that we're all 6 feet apart, that's really hadn't been talked about. I frankly would like to do it face to face, even if we're a good ways apart. But that's really up to the majority.
I wonder if we could do something like that at the Park Theater, because we could probably put it up on the big screen and then sit pretty far away from each other. And
either that, or we could even do it in the boardroom. You got the big screens in there too.
That's right. Okay.
Either way, it doesn't make any difference to me.
It has a lot of tables. It's just that we'd be sitting. Well, I guess, yeah, we don't have to sit at the normal spaces up there.
No, we can sit out in the audience section if we want to, and then probably limit people that want to come in. Most people are not coming into the budget sessions other than maybe Lisa. So, I wouldn't think there'd be a lot of other people up there besides us.
Okay.
But we're going to have to get a lot of more information before we have a sit down.
Sure.
And Shirley was also saying that we would get most of our sales tax. We'd get our sales tax numbers. What was the date, Shirley? About first of June or something?
Yeah, it would be about mid-June. We'll get our April sales tax that was collected in the month of April. We'll get it from the state in June.
Okay.
And that will give us some idea.
Yeah. That would give us a bad month in there to see, what we're maybe looking for May and June.
Shirley, is there any way to contact someone? Is it the comptroller that collects those for us?
No, it's Department of Revenue.
Is there any way, anybody to contact there that can give us an estimate of things that have come in or just? No,
see, sales tax for the month of April, the businesses and so forth will not pay those until May. They're due May the 20th. So the state won't get nothing until May the 20th. And then they will send us our check in June. So they will heads up.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember when I used to have to do that with one of my businesses, and you had a month or so to fill out everything and send the money in.
Okay.
Right.
But I just didn't know if they knew once those numbers were in, once their deadline was reached, if we could call them and get the number before, because if we just wait for the check, that's one way to find out. Why don't you do that? See if once the due date passes, see if you can call to find out at least what the number is. That might give us a little bit of a head start for April's numbers.
Most of that would be available instantly because everything's done online now. You don't send them a check anymore. You send them your bank statement or bank account number.
Okay.
But see, they take all those sales tax from all over the state, and then they divvy it out percentage-wise. you know, it's not necessarily, except for our local part. Now, our local part is what's collected here, but the 7% state tax is divided all over the cities and counties all over the state.
Right. I just assume that they get the information before they actually cut the checks. That might take a little bit longer. Maybe they might have the answers to it. Anyway, find out if that's something you can get. Okay.
The other thing is, Shirley, when do we find out, or when do we get notice of things like gasoline tax and that kind of stuff?
That's all state. It all comes the same time.
Okay. All right.
Mayor,
Mr. Harvey, go ahead.
have we lost Mike?
Yeah, he's not on here.
I didn't know if we might give him a shout or a second to get back on.
He's been gone since we started. Who is monitoring people requesting to join the meeting?
I am. He's not requested to join back in. Scotty Lawson is contacting Mike right now.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We want to wait just a minute.
Was anyone besides me tempted to say during roll call, brought my lunch?
I think you're showing your age there, Steve.
I almost did, but I just didn't have the nerve to do it.
Yeah, we didn't have to indicate whether we had our lunch or not by the time I was in school, Steve.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, and anything from Mike yet? Trying to get back in?
Not yet.
Okay.
Still
I
working
can
on
run
that.
down to his house.
Well, let's move forward. We have the next item on the agenda is appointment to the Mcminnville Electric System Board. And I would like the board to approve my reappointment of Sam Martin Jr. He served there for quite some time. Sam has been a very good, dedicated servant for the electric system, and I think he does a good job there. I was talking to Mr. Sam today, and he said that he and my grandfather were good friends when he was a younger man, and that my grandfather, Edley Newman, I think helped get him appointed to that position back at that time when he was first appointed. I thought that was an interesting bit of history that I didn't know about until today.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Chastain,
Second.
second by Mr. Harvey. We have any discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote.
Mrs. Osbrook,
Yes.
Mr. Brock,
Aye.
Mr. Chastain,
Yes.
Mr. Harvey,
Yes.
Mrs. Kirby,
Yes.
Mayor Newman.
Yes, passes. Thank you. I'll let Mr. Sam know. Okay, next, do we have any other items of new business that any member of the board wishes to bring? Hearing none, we'll move to resolutions. Item A is resolution number 2105, a resolution to authorize the city of McMinnville, Tennessee to accept the statewide contract 209-64470 bid from Ford of Murfreesboro for two F-250 Super Cab 4x4 in the total amount of $55,354 for for the City of McMinnville Public Works Department to authorize the city administrator of the City of McMinnville to issue the necessary purchase order on behalf of the City of McMinnville and to express the time when the resolution becomes effective. I have a motion to table this matter.
Yes, make the motion.
We have a motion to table this matter by Mr. Brock,
Second.
second by Mr. Chastain. Do we have any discussion on this? I think one of the things, this is a $55,000 expense, heeding the conversation that Mr. Brock had previously. I think it is a good idea to table this, see where we stand, and possibly purchase this at a later date than today.
The only thing that I questioned was, would they hold the price on it? Nolan, did you find out anything on that?
They will. They'll hold it through probably the end of this year, this calendar year.
Okay. The calendar year, okay, good enough.
Okay. Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote to table.
Mrs. Osbrook,
Yes.
Mr. Brock,
Aye.
Mr. Chastain,
Yes.
Mr. Harvey,
Yes.
Mrs. Kirby,
Yes.
Mayor Newman.
Yes, passes, tabled until further notice. Thank you. Next is ordinances. We have item A, ordinance number 1795, an ordinance of the City of McMinnville, Tennessee, to change the zoning classification of a property located on Yeager Road, map 050J, Group A, parcel 005.01, from R1 Low Density Residential District to R2 Medium Density Residential, and to express the time for this ordinance to become effective. This is the second and final reading. We have a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Chastain
Second.
and a second by Mr. Brock. This is the property that Mr. Philip Smith came to the meeting about last time we had the regular session meeting, I believe, and he discussed what his plans were there, and this passed, I believe it was unanimously at that time on first reading. Does anybody else have any further discussion on this matter? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Mayor?
Go ahead, wait, hold on a second. Is that Mr. Harvey?
Yeah, I was just wondering from Nolan if anybody, since we're on this type of meeting, if any of the neighbors had asked about it or complained or.
We haven't received any complaints, just a few inquiries as to what it was. And that's it. So, Katie, do you have any more information that?
Katie?
I'm here. I don't have any other information. Nolan got it exactly right. We've had a couple calls about what does it mean to be rezoned, but no complaints or concerns.
Okay, thank you, Katie. Do we have any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Mrs. Osbrook,
Yes.
Mr. Brock,
Aye.
Mr. Chastain,
Yes.
Mr. Harvey,
Yes.
Mrs. Kirby,
Yes.
Mayor Newman.
Yes. Passes. Thank you. Next item is under ordinances is item B. This is ordinance number 1796, an ordinance of the City of McMinnville, Tennessee, to change the zoning classification of a property located on Yeager Road, map 50J, Group A, parcel 5.02, from R1 Low Density Residential District to R2 Medium Density Residential, and to express the time for this ordinance to become effective. This is the second final reading. My memory is correct, this is just the adjoining property to the property that we just voted to rezone on second reading. And this is also the property owned by Mr. Philip Smith.
That's
So moved.
correct.
We have a motion from Mr. Brock
Second.
and a second from Mr. Chastain. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote.
Mrs. Osbrook,
Yes.
Mr. Brock,
Aye.
Mr. Chastain,
Yes.
Mr. Harvey,
Yes.
Mrs. Kirby,
Yes.
Mayor Newman.
Yes, passes. I think Philip was on here, at least I think I saw him on here earlier, so he should know that passed on second final reading. We get that signed. When does that take effect?
After it's published in the paper, which will probably be in Sunday's paper.
Okay, Sunday's paper, then it takes effect. Okay. All right. The next item on the agenda is departmental reports. We have several department heads that are joining us tonight. Do we have
Mayor?
any department heads that wish to make a report?
Mayor, could I say something first?
Yes,
Before,
Mr. Brock.
one of the things that I should have said a few minutes ago about the budgets is the reason that the expenses are down is the department heads have done one heck of a job. On an annualized basis, they're down 20%. You know, it remains to be seen what the end of the year will be, but right now they're running at the total city is running at right at 20%, which is
Okay.
great. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, thank you, guys. If you're a department head and wish to be recognized, just state your name so I can hear who you are. Come on, guys, this is your chance to make history.
All right, this is Scott McCord.
Okay, Mr. McCord, go ahead.
Just to let y'all know, we've continued to work on the pool, make sure it's ready for the summer. Maintenance is handling all the trash at all the parks, keeping the ball fields mowed, aerated, top dressed, working on fertilizer. A lot of our instructors are holding online classes from on Zoom like we are here. Some are doing YouTube, Facebook. We're keeping up with our Facebook, working on concessions. Elliot was here to pressure wash, fill the cracks on the tennis courts last week. We've had rain and drop temperature, so hopefully once we get temperature up, he will be back. The guys also finished the concrete work at the dog park, and hopefully the fence company will be out within the week or two once the dries up and weather. And that's pretty much where we're at.
Hey,
Okay.
Scott,
Yes.
got a question for you. One of the things we talked about in that little budget meeting yesterday was, is there a chance that possibly you could open the pool maybe earlier since the kids are out of school?
Yeah, that's not a problem.
I mean, it's a moneymaker if you can find people to work it, you know.
Yes. I mean, if we're allowed back, we can open it.
Yeah, that's
mean,
not a
usually
bad idea. Kids have been cooped up at home, and I'm sure trying to get out to do things. That wouldn't be a bad idea to let them burn off a lot of energy since they may not be going back to school this year.
I mean, normally we have it open end of April, 1st of May for the swim team. So, I mean, we're usually ready to go.
Okay. It was just another way we could make a few bucks, it seemed like, if assuming that they relax the social separation type thing.
Well, I have to say what Steve told me this morning. I think it'd be a great morale booster.
Yeah.
Yep. Sure would.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. I guess once the social distancing from the governor is lifted, then I think you should open it just as soon as you think your guards are ready to do it.
I think one of our big problems is we have to get through the hiring process.
Right. And you don't know when that's going to happen. I mean, how long does it take to do the hiring process?
Well, we're pretty much there. We just have to go through the loss of words, onboarding, and then we should be all right. It wouldn't take that long.
Okay.
I have something that I would like to bring to the board's attention.
Okay, Mr. Ming, go ahead.
West Elementary, they've been working on their project over there, and they came to us with their layout for their new fence. And there's a question up here at the entrance off of Club Drive. They're wanting to, let's see here, right in this area, the fence, for some reason that's blurry. There we go. The fence gate is here coming off Club Drive. This is the new entrance, new blacktop. Their fence post is going to be about a foot or two onto our property to avoid their new blacktop right here.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to know if we had any issues with that. And just for visual reference, I've got some pictures here. Right in this area is the property line, and their fence post will be just right here. I didn't really see any problem with it, but I wanted to run it by you all and see what you thought.
I don't have any problem with that. I think they've been good neighbors to us historically, and I think we need to be good neighbors to them. And if they've got an issue like that, that seems to be relatively small and doesn't interfere in any way with any of our property, any of our storm drainage or anything at all.
Yeah, not at all. It's just going to be right. If you can see these pictures, I'm bringing them up. Okay. Right in this area, there's no storm drain, anything in this area. It should not interfere with anything.
I don't have any additional pictures coming up on mine other than just the drawing.
Okay, let's see.
And I guess I have a question on that. So how would that be notated? That just still remains our property, but just their fence post? I mean,
okay, there's a picture.
Yeah, the fence post will be in this area somewhere. It's shown on the plans. It just says on property line, but they thought that they should let us know it might be about a foot or two over. And I feel like it's not even the post itself, but the base. So the portion that's in the ground holding the post in the ground. So I don't see any issues with it.
Maybe 50 or 60 thou.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with just letting them do it. I don't think there's any need to get a survey and a deed or anything like that drawn up. I'm not concerned about it.
Nolan, I got a question. Did they say anything about allowing us access, or is it totally going to be blocked off?
I talked to them about the area back here with the fence, the gate right here, the single leaf gate to allow people to come in and out. Not sure. I feel like their intent is to allow the use of this gate still, if they're installing this gate here. But we can follow up and make sure.
Sure. Is that the gate that's near the tennis courts, or not tennis courts, but the playground corner fence?
Yeah, the playground's over in this area off to the right. And then this is the curve in the bike path off to the left.
I'm more asking because we usually have had an agreement where, you know, we could have 100 to 150 cars parked in there for our baseball leagues.
Yeah, they didn't bring that up, and I don't foresee that they would discontinue that, but I can definitely follow up with Mr. Cox to be sure.
All right.
Tell them we don't have an issue with that corner if we still have access for those purposes.
All right.
I don't think we need a vote on that, do we? I don't see any reason to.
No.
Okay. Anything else, Nolan?
No, that was all I had.
Do any other department heads have any reports they would like to make to the board? Brian, Chief Denton, do you have, well, Well, I was just going to ask if we have increase, decrease in crime or anything like that, to your knowledge.
We started off with this where we were very slow for a week or two. It is gradually getting back to the level that it was. It's not quite there yet, but we are seeing it creep back to the level pre the notices we got from the state.
Okay. Anything in particular?
Not really. Just thefts, domestics. Nothing is again back to the level that it was. But those two things seem to be. Shoplifting is one thing that is. But at the police department, we've managed to stay healthy. As most of you know, we have altered our shifts so if the virus were to hit, it wouldn't take out the majority of the department, and we. Like all the rest of the departments, we don't allow the general public into our building now. We limit the number of officers in at a time, and considering everything, we're doing okay.
Okay. I think you've done a good job. The staggering the shifts, I think, is a really good idea to help minimize as much as you can the possibilities of contact between the entire department.
Yes, sir. We do that with the clerical staff as well.
Okay, good. All right. Chief Mayfield, how are your guys doing? I thought he was on here.
He was, let me see.
I don't think he's on anymore.
Yeah, I don't see him anymore.
No, he's gone.
Okay.
I haven't heard any issues from the fire department as of yet.
Okay. Mr. Southard, how about your guys?
Oh, they're doing pretty good. I guess really and truly our garbage is actually picked up since this coronavirus. So everybody must be getting out spending money. And the storm, the brush and everything, we are running a little behind on the brush because of the storm and stuff. It has really picked up. Everybody's doing yard work and stuff. But
Okay.
other than that, I mean, Hank and everybody, they're getting out and mowing and stuff still. So, but they're doing real good.
Okay. Do we have Ricky on here?
Yes.
Ricky, how's the water department?
Everything's going good. We still making water, treating the sewer, and everything's worked well in this transition. I think the employees have done a good job with it, and I'd like to thank our customers for dealing with us, because I know the drop boxes, they're using the drop boxes, you know, and we're just business as usual. As calls come in, our maintenance crew are taking care of those, and I just think that they've done a wonderful job.
Okay, that's good. You know, some of our water guys are some of the, you know, extremely important jobs, because there's only so many people that can treat our water and make it where we can drink it. And so it's really important for those guys to stay safe, make sure they're taking every precaution they can. I mean, for everybody, but those guys, they're pretty hard to replace if they go down or get sick, or a bunch of them get infected in that department. So sounds like they know that they need to stay safe and stay away from others just as much as they can.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thanks, Ricky.
Thank you.
And, you know, I think just going back to that, we have a lot of employees, I'm sure, that are just concerned just as much as we are about our city and everybody in it. I think that everybody has been doing a really good job following directions issued by Mr. Ming at the direction of the board for our COVID response, going down to the tier 1 and taking all the extra precautions. I think a lot of people in town have been observing most of the requests, and then also the requirements of the governor for the things that he's asked for. We have 4 confirmed cases in Warren County. That's fairly low. That doesn't mean those are the only cases, but those are just the confirmed cases. And so, of course, we have to still stick with this governor extended his order for another 2 weeks till the end of April. And so I hope that all of our board members, as well as employees, will continue to keep your distance from people, try to cut down on trips to the store, to the grocery store, or wherever it is that you have to go, and just be very careful of the surfaces that you're touching to try to keep that possible spreading of potential virus down just as much as we can. But it seems like everybody is doing a good job of that, so thank you. If all department heads, if you can send our thanks to the employees, we'd really appreciate that.
I got a question for Nolan.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Brock.
What's the status of those orders of the face masks that you ordered?
I haven't heard back from it. There was an issue with the order to begin with. I had to replace the
Froze
order.
up.
Hey, Nolan, you froze up for a second.
Yeah. What's the status of the order for the face mask that you ordered?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't heard back from it yet. There was an issue with the order immediately after I placed it. The credit card wasn't working for some reason. I went with a different credit card. That was just, I believe, yesterday or Friday. So I haven't gotten an update yet. But as soon as I hear back on that, I'll let you know.
It was a legit purchase, though, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And as of right now, as I've talked to all departments, they feel like they've got an adequate supply of those masks and all the other PPE that they need. So that would be backup, but absolutely hope that comes sooner than later.
All right, thank you. Do we have anybody else? Mr. Pirtle, do you have anything for us?
No.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to announcements then. I've been in touch with Mcminnville about the corner of City Hall when the contractor is expected to come in and fix that up, because I still have the time capsule. I've got it at my house waiting to put it back in. So as soon as he gives me a heads up that the contractor's coming, I'll make sure to get that back in. Mr. Ming?
Yeah, I actually talked to the gentleman today from the company that's bringing the stone. He's not contracted with Mcminnville. He's contracted directly with the city.
Okay.
He's planning to be here, he thought, either late this week or early next week. So I'll keep in touch with you and make sure that you know when he's going to be here.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, let me in and make sure he knows that we've got to get that thing back in before he covers it up.
Yeah.
I don't want to just put it in there without knowing that he's coming, because I don't want somebody to come by and take it or mess with it or anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Well, do we have any other announcements that anybody wishes to make? All right. I think that this meeting went very well. We didn't seem to have any issues other than, I think, Mike, for some reason, I don't know if he had equipment failure or internet failure or what, but we'll need to work on that. I think Scotty can get with him to make sure that he's able to get on next time. May need to check with him, make sure he can do that. And then other than that, I'll be doing the Ben Lomond Connect weekly updates. Did one this morning at 10 with Jimmy Haley and Dale Humphrey, and then representative from the health department from Cookville, which I think went really well. It's a lot more information this time. One of the things that I had in my notes to say, and I just skipped over it, and I think each of us can try to help get this message out, is that utility bills, though we aren't cutting people off right now, and this goes for the city and other utilities too, that those utilities are still owed, that they still have to be paid. They're not going to be forgiven. We're just not cutting people off right now. So please pass that along to our customers and other people that you know is that once the moratorium is over as far as cutting people off, the bill is still owed, and it does have to be paid. It may not have to be paid all at once. I think people will be able to work with the utilities on working out some type of payment plan, but those bills are still owed. They're not forgiven. There's not a 50% discount on them. There's no discount on them at all. They're just not being cut off right now. So somehow get that information out to people that you know, people that you talk with. If people ask you questions about it, that the utilities that I've talked to don't have intentions of just forgiving that. They're not being forgiven for the debts that they have. The utilities aren't, and they're not going to forgive those bills that are ongoing for the things that people have used during this time. Okay. Other than that, I don't really have anything else. Thanks for a good meeting, everyone, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye-bye.